I've always been fascinated by the subject of Scientology, and even as early as 2001 or 2, I was looking at doing something for the BBC as a TV 1 hour, and it just, it became clear that access was going to be complicated and that they probably wouldn't let me in. And so what changed was, I mean that was sort of the reason, in general I like to do stories where you do have access, and that's what I'm best known for. What changed was the feeling that actually there was this community of high-ranking defectors who'd left Scientology, who had an insight into the inner workings of Scientology, and that by talking to them we could begin to draw a picture of what they'd experienced, and more than that, using certain Hollywood-style techniques that we could recreate some of the events that they'd lived through in a sort of live setting, on sound stages in Hollywood. So that was basically, and I satisfied myself, it was really about an attempt to excavate and understand those people, and in the act of doing that, understanding Scientology.
Louis' films always work because he's parachuted in with a group of people, and then he does his magic, his hypnotic magic. And how do we do this? We haven't got any. The church won't let us in. And then when I got over my own stupidity, we thought, there's got to be a way of making this. It's such a rich subject. So we came up with this kind of crazy, daft idea for these reenactments, which has, again, been done in documentaries years over. But for us, they were a way of trying... For Louis, it's about what happens when you become a Scientologist. It's easy saying, oh, they're crazy, they're a cult, that's boring, we've heard that. What happens when you become a Scientologist? What seduces you into it? And what goes on in your head? What's your mindset? And that's what, we set out to try and realise. What was most surprising to me was the level of kind of vitriol that was directed at the ex-members while I was with them from working Scientologists, current signed-up Scientologists. So while we were filming one of our characters, Marty Rathbun, he was accosted at an airport, although the Scientologists dispute that that's exactly how it happened. But there's film in which these 3 senior Scientologists are hurling abuse at Marty, calling him disgusting and just getting in his face in the most aggressive, hurtful way. And it's just the weirdness of seeing people who would see themselves as church members, as devout church people, who we think of that as being something sort of holy and special, and yet they're behaving in this vicious way. So that I thought that was the most shocking thing. This isn't a history lesson, this isn't a piece of homework. We called it My Scientology Movie for a reason. We wanted to make a movie. It's a big step for Louis going from his TV material to a movie. So people that go in, I want them to be entertained and enjoy it. And if they're not, then we've failed.